from the New Hampshire Seacoast. We are out today on a beautiful, do you guys see this? Blue skies kind of a day. And we are just in New Hampshire. Massachusetts is right, I will show you, over there. Starting off here at the world famous Brown's Lobster Pound, competing Marky's Lobster Pound across the street, two iconic places on the seacoast here in New Hampshire. And we are going to take you guys and follow the entire almost 18 miles of New Hampshire Seacoast. Make stops along the way, give you guys some pointers, show you what it's like, talk about the history, and enjoy a beautiful, sunny Memorial Day. Finally, the sun is out. And I'm looking forward to showing you guys and taking you along so you can see what our beautiful beaches are like. I love living on the seacoast. It doesn't get any fresher than from outside to this holding tank. We are inside Brown's. There's a look at the menu. We will not be partaking, just wanted to show you guys. They have no idea what's about to happen to them. Bum, bum, bum. Very old school. And they go right in that pot over there for the boil. And into bellies.
It's cash only.
This place is cash only. That's very common around here.
ATM machine available for them to use.
Of course. They conveniently have a ATM machine on site. But seafood, huge part of industry here. People come from all over the world to enjoy our famous seafood. As it turns out, I don't eat seafood, I hate it. I wish I liked fish more. Every once in a while I'll eat a white fish, that's about it, or a smoked salmon. Every once in a while. But people love it, that's good. And it's world famous. Very, very fresh. With lobster, you can find things like clams and oysters. There's some discarded clammage. It's funny to me that people go in there and like, ooh, it smells so good, and then they consume something that tastes like what it smells like. Because to me, it does not smell good. I am not trying to discourage anybody. Eat whatever you want. Give money to these local businesses. They're awesome. And, you know, get out there and explore your culinary palate. I'm just saying that for me, it all tastes like fish, and fish is off-putting. Just beyond the parking lot, you can see the tide is not up, it is way out there. And there are people out in the areas around here clamming. We saw people with buckets, so. Yep, if you like this sort of thing, you can get it fresh. And there in the distance
is our Epcot.
Yeah, our Epcot.
Of World Energy. Oh.
We call it something else. The boys and I call it the Big Boob. Just gonna tell you. It is a nuclear power plant. Homer Simpson may be there as we speak. And what the heck, there are crabs right here, sunbathing on the rock. Seabrook was settled in 1638. This was all originally part of Hampton, and the boundary was controversial for like 200 years. It was in dispute. Officially became Seabrook in 1953, and, well, I should say, the boundary was officially settled in 1953 as to where it would start and Hampton would begin. There is a casino on the grounds of an old Greyhound racetrack. I'm glad that it's a casino and that they're not racing doggies, my personal opinion. Route 1 goes up and down the coast here. There is like the business part of that, and then there is closer to the beach following. It's like 1A, which is what we are going to take you guys on today. We'll be going through Seabrook, Hampton, Hampton Falls, Northampton, Rye, Portsmouth, and eventually out to Newcastle. So yes, all of our whopping 18, not even quite 18 miles of coastland, but boy is it beautiful, and to live here and be able to have it near to me, very important, because I do love the ocean. So nice out, can't believe it. The sun feels glorious. I'm here to get junk food like pizza and fried dough. Definitely won't be consuming that either.
Fireworks.
Fireworks.
Year-round in New Hampshire.
Yes. In New Hampshire, you can enjoy fireworks year-round legally. Seabrook begins here, but literally like right over there is Massachusetts, Salisbury Beach.
You can see the sign, Salisbury.
Yes, Salisbury is right there, right where I'm pointing the camera. And right here, New Hampshire. Of boats and another lobster place. Big lobster place. I mean, it's part of the economy. Yeah, there's a fish market, so if that's your thing. Here it is. Coming up on Hampton Beach. So that was the end of Seabrook. A lot of state park areas where you have to pay for parking. But if you know where to go, there's also ways to not have to do that. And as you can see here, if you can find spots along streets like this, there are some areas you can park too. Now, Hampton Beach is typically the very, very busy area. Any given day, lots of people from Massachusetts. However, in the off season, I've brought you guys down here. It's a ghost town sometimes. But there's usually at least somebody out running or walking their dogs. That's usually locals in the off season. Now you can see traffic and lots of people. We have attempted to come here for 4th of July one time and sat in traffic for like an hour for a drive that should have been like 2 minutes. Never were even able to successfully see the fireworks except from the car. So it does get very busy. This is known as a great people watching area. Music venues, restaurants, and a couple of shops. This is where Beachy Santa is, down the road here, if you guys remember that video. And they do the sandcastle competition up here. That's not going yet, will be soon, before we know it. Just always a happening little place. Free concerts during the summer and fireworks every night or every something certain night. You can see there's a lot of motorcycles here. Yeah, it's a happening place. You can get visitors from all over the world, really. Right, we found parking and it is very, very busy this Memorial Day. Lots of people out enjoying. It's nice to see.
It's only a yellow flag warning. At least it's not red where it's dangerous in the ocean.
Yeah, what does the yellow flag mean?
I don't know, but I know it's not red.
Red's bad?
Yeah.
Red's bad. Yellow's probably like caution. There are lifeguards. Some award-winning lifeguards, actually. I was watching a thing about this last year. Like, you know, they do the competitions and stuff. Well, this area is supposed to have some of the best lifeguards in the country. And a lot of them are just, you know, young kids out of high school, in college or getting ready to go to college. One interesting thing whoa, holy glass packs, Batman. One interesting thing I almost forgot to tell you guys about Seabrook, and I want to make sure I don't forget to tell you because I find it fascinating, is that we don't know that this still really exists. We were discussing this just a minute ago when we were parking, but they have been known, even up until recently, to have a unique accent. Now, Seabrook was settled by folks from Elizabethan London, England, and they somehow retained that old, proper, old-fashioned Londinium accent. And it is a very strange phenomenon. You know, over here, a lot of us sometimes forget to pronounce our R's. And, you know, you park the car, stuff like that. No, I'm talking full-on, proper English. I've never actually come across anybody who still talks like this. I've heard of people saying that they do know people that do talk like this. I don't know if it's just some kind of a thing that is now like a local legend because it was recent. I know for sure that like up until even the 1960s and 70s, it was pretty widespread in Seabrook that people were talking with English accents, but I really don't know that anybody now in 2025 still does. If I ever find somebody that does, I will let you guys know right away. And you know, I come across people from all over, including Seabrook, and have had these discussions. And people swear, oh, my grandma had a full-on English accent, or oh, my Aunt Gertrude still talks like that, but I'm yet to see it myself. If it's true, it's really cool. You know, you have to realize that at one point it was a much smaller community than now. It didn't have the tourism boost, it didn't have all the beach rentals, and people lived in tight communities and fished. And because they lived in a tight community and only heard each other, the accent stayed. It's weird that it stayed concentrated there. That's why I have a hard time believing that in 2025 it still exists in any great number. There might still be a couple old timers that talk like that, but I thought it was interesting. One thing that's nice is they have nice public facilities. Here is the clamshell where they have concerts. A lot of free concerts in the summertime. Local people, but every once in a while somebody notable. And some of these clubs over here get really notable people. You know, all kinds of people come and play. Yeah, ZZ Top is listed over there. We found out yellow flag means medium hazard, moderate surf and or currents. Red flag's very bad. Lots and lots of people. Very busy. There's a doggy barking in the background. A lot of junk shops, t-shirt shops, beach supply type place. My allergies, by the way, worse than ever. Having a really hard time today, and the news said that what's going on is there's both the bad tree pollen and the grass pollen now, so it's double whammy, and that people are feeling it across New England. So I definitely, kind of makes me like a little short of breath, a little nasally. My throat isn't great. I know it'll go away, and it's, you know, it's not like I'm sick, it's just allergies, but it's annoying. Oh, Mr. Fish. Fish don't have allergies because they're fish. So yeah, this is Hampton Beach. The touristy part. A little bit more information here. It's a barrier chain or strip of land that protects the mainland from the ocean and is surrounded by salt hay marshes. And I do know that they used to collect seaweed here, similar to like we saw the moss collecting down in Scituate the other day. And there was farmland too, like, you know, right up into the ocean. This was very, very rural. People lived off the land in the sea, quite literally. Lived on it and off of it. This says when the state was given ownership of the beach in 1933, it built a seawall and took responsibility for maintaining the beachfront. And that's crucial because it does flood here. Here's a like visitor center, public restrooms. Believe it or not, there is a pretty gnarly little surf culture here. People do surf in New England and in New Hampshire. There's a couple surf shops up here. This is more of a surfing section. This is more locals hang out down here. There's no shops or restaurants on the other side, just houses. But people know that there's parking and good waves, and there's kind of this seawall here. You can see lots of people kind of like tailgating almost, hanging out. People meet up, enjoy the water, enjoy the sun and the sand. I'm telling you though, if you like people watching, it's always a good place to do it. Now we're getting into the section that I enjoy. Kind of changes up here. There's some good spots. We'll stop in a minute. All right. We have moved on of seaweed. Mountains of seaweed. And boy, does it stink.
From the nor'easter.
He thinks it's from the storm the other day. Yeah, it probably is. Oh, it smells so strong. But this is Northampton. Love it. It's beautiful. The boys and I come and sit along the wall and just relax. There's Hampton, Hampton Beach, Hampton Falls, Northampton, and then like way out on the other side of the state there's East Hampton. And all the New England states have Hamptons. It can be very confusing. They recycle names around here. To come is the Northampton State Beach, and there is ample parking and a beach club across the street where they have delicious ice cream. The fact that everybody likes to make fun of me about, for the longest time I thought he was holding maracas. They have this beach plum lobster, because they have lobster rolls and food and stuff too, and there's one right by our house, and the picture is everywhere, and I thought forever that he was holding maracas. It took me like 3 years to realize he was holding ice cream cones. Kay's getting an ice cream. Kind of lame for me because they don't have any non-dairy options, and I usually get their really good fresh brewed iced tea. They don't have any. The other locations have iced tea. I don't know why they wouldn't, since they have the full food menu, but you know, whatever. It's so sad being lactose intolerant because everything looks so good, and every once in a while if the kids get something, I'll partake in a few bites and it's really good, but I don't want to be sick today, so not worth it. It's sad when places don't have options for people with issues. That place is a gold mine. We should open an ice cream stand on the beach. We'd be gazillionaires. It smells really strong. Like seaweed up the nose. And like dead fish. We're gonna go down the road. Some really nice places. This is like the premium.
See, the tide's way down right now.
Yeah. Way out. Oh yeah, there's one of these places for sale is $50 million. Can't remember which one it is. I think it doesn't even it might be the White House actually. I think it doesn't have a for sale sign, but it's like listed. 50 million, but it comes with like a lot of acreage, and of course you're on the beach. Getting into Rye. We left Northampton. Now this is Rye Beach. Both Northampton and Rye. Very, very, very nice. We are right by Massacre Marsh, where those people were slaughtered. If you guys watched that video, it's just to the west of me now. Behind these neighborhoods is the salt marshes that go in from the ocean, and that's where that occurred. It was wild living out here. For a long time there was a whole lot of nothing, and people really lived off the land and were trying to carve out a life in the wilderness on the ocean, you know, under really harsh circumstances, whether it was from the weather, political or cultural differences, whatever was going on around them. It was tough. And they paved the way, and now people live like this. Very, very, very nice lives. This is Jenna's Beach. This is a very well-known surfing area, especially if there's a storm. There's a lot of surfers out there, and they do surf lessons too. There's a business called Summer Sessions. They have a location here on the beach and one in town, and they're big proponents of the local surf culture, and you can buy boards and wax and rash guards and all that gnarly stuff, and they do provide surf lessons, so pretty cool. Myself was a pretty awesome boogie boarder back when I lived in Manhattan Beach, California. Don't laugh, boogie boarding is cool. Of course, the weather there is warm. You don't need a wetsuit. I don't know that I'd swim in it today, though. It's dirty. The Pacific in California is not what she used to be. But man, I used to go on the Strand, rollerblades, skateboard-ish, walk every day after school, hang out with my friends, play volleyball, walk from Manhattan to Hermosa and Redondo, go out on the pier. It was awesome as a teenager. Very, very fun. And so I always kind of have a heart for beach culture. And then growing up in the valley, we would go to Malibu and Zuma Beach all the time. My dad absolutely loved the ocean. He ended up in his retirement years and before he passed away living in Pismo Beach, which was always his dream. That's in Central California. Central California is still really nice, beautiful. You know, there's problems everywhere, but Pismo is a good spot if you have to live in Cali. Anyways, here's some more marshy land here. The coast, of course, zigs and zags out. There's a lot of fishing vessels up ahead. It's not all, you know, just for show. It is a place where people fish and, you know, sometimes make a living doing that. It's so beautiful. Look at all those boats. This is the Rye Harbor State Park. I've brought you guys here before, but it's of great historical significance. It's a beautiful day. I thought I'd stop and take another look at it. One of my favorite spots, actually, if you are coming to the area and want a really nice place that isn't touristy but is beautiful and peaceful. This is a really, really good area. See, this is amazing stuff. About 6 miles offshore, these 9 rocky islands served Europeans as a fishing station before the first mainland settlers were made in 1623. Captain John Smith named the group Smith's Isles in 1614. The codfish that shoaled there in huge numbers were a prized delicacy that supported 300 to 600 inhabitants. Okay, was it 3 or 6? Because that's a big discrepancy. Before the Revolution. By the mid-1800s, new hotels attracted a summer colony of writers and artists, chief of whom was poet Celia Thaxter. The islands have supported religious conferences since 1897 and marine research since 1928. And that is the place that everyone yells at me and says, we can't believe you've never been there. You need to go make a video. It's awesome. You'll love it. It's such an adventure. And it's just that way. I think it's about an hour boat ride. But yeah, it's supposed to be really, really nice. So on a nice warm day, that's going to be a really fun adventure. There's also boats you can get on in Portsmouth that take you, you know, all around the harbor and do like narrated tours and things like that. So all that stuff we'll be checking out. Here we go. John Smith. In 1614, Captain John Smith, who 7 years earlier was founder of Jamestown Settlement, returned to America and explored and mapped the local coastline from Penobscot Bay to Cape Cod. He was the first European to map the Isle of Shoals, which he named Smith's Isles. Well, that name did not endure. Poor John. With the consent of King James I, Admiral Smith named this region New England. I haven't seen a seal in New England ever. Lots of the West Coast. I know they're out here. I've never really seen one. John Smith's map and widely read book, a description of New England, detailed the region's teeming fishing banks, abundant game, clean rivers, vast forest, and native people. The book had a major influence in the subsequent wave of English migration to these shores. The map guided the Pilgrims to Plymouth. So, huge connections there. In 1620, and led John Winthrop to the River Charles and founding of Boston in 1630. So, we would not have any of the other things without this and without John Smith coming here first, mapping it out, naming it, and paving the way. It's amazing. You know, New Hampshire has some strange laws.
Can't take seaweed.
It is illegal to take seaweed from the beach. Why is that?
I don't know.
Nobody really knows why.
Look at this cool road.
You don't have to wear a seatbelt or have car insurance, but do not take seaweed. Keep going. We're about halfway through our tour of the New Hampshire coastline. because there's this tower over here I've always wanted to stop at, but I can never figure out how to get to. So, but we still can't figure it out. I went too far, so we're gonna go back out. Detour. Came down the road a little and parked. Gonna see if we can walk over to that tower. There's a cool white bird over there on the rocks too. Apparently this is how you get to the tower. You're on an adventure. And I'm thinking, I wish I had tall socks and long pants on. Oof. It's nice back here. Rock Tower is one of 17 battery fire control towers and 2 artillery batteries between Rockport, Mass. and Kennebunk, Maine to protect Portsmouth Harbor and the naval shipyard during World War II. Towers were serviced by the Coastal Artillery Corps, directed out of Fort Dearborn at Odom Point. That's awesome.
It only cost $18,000 back then.
$15,000 to build.
73
So you can
feet
see
tall.
here, it's talking about coastal defense. The battery fire control towers are part of the harbor defense system and were built to raise base and stations high above the ground where members of the U.S. Coastal Artillery Corps could search for enemy ships using sophisticated spotting scopes.
12 to 14 inch thick reinforced.
And fun fact, there are a couple companies on the coast of New Hampshire that make scopes for military purpose and small firearms and things like that. This is cool. After Ocean Boulevard, Route 1A was closed and patrolled by servicemen for the duration of the war. Located 2 blocks south of the tower past Fort Dearborn, located at Odom Point. Aha, see? Here we go. Here's what we're talking about today. New Hampshire Route 1A is an 18.32 mile long state highway. Runs along the Atlantic coastline from Mass border north through Rye, where it turns downtown Portsmouth, where the highway runs out along the shore. The local name is Ocean Boulevard, and that is the adventure we have you guys on. How awesome. Let's go take a look. I've always wanted to get a closer look and stop here and see exactly what this is.
Somebody cut the lock,
Oh wow, that's not good.
but it still doesn't open.
It's probably good that it doesn't. Wow, let me cut the lock.
Where they replaced the locks, they lost the key. So there's no locks on this.
And this is listed on the National Register of Historic Places. It's very neat. Mystery solved, and now I know. I feel better now, knowing. Seriously, every time from down below we drive by, I'm like, I want to see what that is, and it just, I don't know, never panned out. Today was a day. This is a nice spot because they probably, do you think this gets underwater?
No.
No.
They get rocks thrown though.
Yeah.
You have a good storm.
That is crazy. People get pelted by rocks here and they come up on the road. It's pretty bad, but you're kind of like away from the danger zone, yet you still get to enjoy the ocean. Some of these people don't have views though, but that's why they have like towers and windows and rooftop decks. See, that would be the way to go. One of my favorite beaches over here is called Periwinkle Cove. Really nice. It's rocky, but it's really nice. Then you have the state park here. This is the one where Noah and I were being followed by the scary group of turkeys. If you guys remember that. Little state park in there. This is the point when you start to get into Portsmouth and it goes a little bit away from the ocean. We have to get over to Newcastle Island to see it again. And that's what we'll do. Gotta complete the task. Yep, going off the 1A to the 1B. Oh yeah, so Wentworth by the Sea, there's this really nice hotel over here we're about to go by called Wentworth by the Sea. It's pretty high dollar. It's really nice. It's very well known around here. There's other like boutique hotels and like a Sheraton, a couple chains in town, but people who really want the whole Portsmouth experience stay at Wentworth by the Sea. Fort Constitution / William and Mary. Not open to the public. Same old thing that I have been complaining about. If you guys watched my raid on Fort William and Mary video, you know what I mean.
It's an amazing golf course.
That is an amazing golf course. Apparently what happened at the fort is some idiot was climbing around on top in an area above the fortifications where they were not supposed to be, and they fell and like broke their leg, and they're suing the state, and it's an ongoing issue. And while that is going on, it is closed to the public, which is completely lame. And there is the hotel, Wentworth by the Sea. Sometimes they book out way in advance, like summertime may already be booked up already, and the rates change drastically. In the off season, you can get a room for like $300 a night. Summer, they start at $5 and go up into, you know, well into the thousands a night. So it's a more high-end place. This is an active Coast Guard base. And you see across the water, that's Maine. So that was the entire New Hampshire coastline from the bottom of Salisbury, Massachusetts to Seabrook, New Hampshire, through those towns we just went through, ending here, Newcastle Island, New Hampshire, and Kittery, Maine across the way. UNH has a Marine Research Center over here. It's part of their science department. And if we could look beyond this, you would see Fort Constitution. But you can't, because somebody's suing them. Kay says that he just found a starfish down there. He loves going to the beach and getting shells and looking at creatures. It's so funny. Yeah, well, the tide is so far out. It's so low. Constitution. But you can't get in. It isn't even Fort Constitution. This is much newer. This is not Revolutionary War era. I mean, from before the Rev War through the War of 1812, Civil Coastal Defense, and then World War II, there's been forts here. It's just too bad we can't get in and see the Revolutionary one. Will, however, ooh, look how the clouds are changing. We will go down here to this really nice beach. We've got this cool little spot, and we'll get a different perspective, a better perspective. Really cool to think about is that some of these houses were actually here when the raid on Fort William and Mary took place. So they're witness houses. Just a little reminder, it was December 1774, months before Lexington and Concord. And Paul Revere rode here first. Well, he made several rides, but this was one of them. And we did a good job. Tore down their big British flag that was hanging above it, raised the Continental colors, secured the gunpowder. We need it in the days ahead, as you guys have seen if you've been following the timeline. So, just frustrating that a place of such significance does not get the love, the attention, or the upkeep and accessibility that it deserves. See how as you come up over the hill, you get this awesome view? Not just one lighthouse. And it looks like the road is washed out and this is blocked off. And that is not good. See? Another lighthouse there. See, there's more of the Coast Guard station and the newer parts of the fort. Beyond this and those trees is Fort Constitution. It was open for years and now it's been closed for years and I have never successfully been able to get into it, which is so weird. So there's a lot of brick that washed up ashore. It's interesting. Well, guys, that's the New Hampshire Seacoast. What did you think? Comment below. We love it. It might be little, but it's mighty. And I think it's amazing how, it's only about 18 miles, but it's pretty diverse. I mean, we've got busy little tourist area, golf courses, resorts, rocky beaches, sandy beaches, beautiful homes, rural parts, a little bit of everything, lighthouses, historic sites along the way, parks, fishing areas, harbors. We got it all.
And lobsters.
And lobsters. Lobsters and clams galore. Look at all the seaweed. Isn't that crazy? When this place was settled in 1623. Yes, 1623. So just 2 years after the Pilgrims went to Plymouth. Amazing, huh? It was called Great Island. 1679, it became Newcastle Island. There's always been a fort there. And that's actually where the name Newcastle came from. Fort Newcastle was the original name, even before William and Mary. So they just named the whole island after the fort. This saw action during the French and Indian War too. It was a area of defense. And some might say that the very first action of the Rev War. Although that's always hard because do you trace it back to, the Boston Massacre? Was it the Tea Party? Was it the raid on Fort William and Mary? Was it the shots fired at Lexington and Concord? What was it? Brush fires of freedom in the minds of men, as Sam Adams would say. The best part about living right along the ocean is always, getting to watch the storms come and go and the water change and the skies change and what the ocean does. The ocean has always fascinated me. It's such a powerful thing that, God controls out there, and much of the earth is water. And the way that the shore knows where to stop, the water knows where to go, even though sometimes that can go wild too. It pretty much has a pattern of doing what it's going to do, and it's a strong force powered by something way beyond ourselves. And I think it's amazing. It makes you really stop and think and know, in some ways just how small we are on this planet, even though, our lives are precious. Life is a gift, but you can look at nature and go, wow, there's way more than just ourselves, and we're not here for ourselves. And this is the kind of stuff I think about. The sea just makes me really reflective, makes me contemplate. It's peaceful. I'm a beachy girl. And that's a really cool cemetery. Look at how the water goes out here. There's just nowhere to park ever. It sucks. Oh, and that creepy old building was the military prison. And they've talked about developing it, but it's full of asbestos and mold. And they've talked about making it fancy, expensive apartment condos and a resort. I don't know if they'll ever do anything. The price tag to fix it was like some crazy billions of dollars. So who knows, but I guess it's pretty nasty.
Welcome to Portsmouth. Left the island life behind now.
Yes, the island life. Oh yeah, there's some crazy places around here.
Because this is still an island.
Yeah. I always love coming into Portsmouth. Like, look how pretty this is. Look at all the little painted colonials in the backside of Portsmouth. Oh my gosh. New Hampshire, you vixen, you. This is what grabbed our hearts and pulled us in since the first time we visited and said, you know what, we need to move here. So we flew into Manchester rather than Boston on one of our trips, and on like day 2 we were both really quiet and we looked at each other and I said, are you thinking what I'm thinking? And Kay goes, yep, this is home. I said, yep. I said, oh my gosh, do you love it as much as I do? And he was like, yeah, I was gonna talk to you about this. And I'm like, yeah, are you feeling the same thing? He's like, if you mean that like we need to move here, absolutely. And I was like, oh my gosh, yeah. So that's pretty much how that went down. Pierce Island over there. They hear music, like live music. Sounds like a band.
It is a band.
Maybe some kind of Memorial Day thing. And of course, this is Portsmouth. This is beautiful Prescott Park. We're not going to do like a tour of Portsmouth or anything. We're going to wrap it up. I just wanted to make sure to get the full coastal tour in. I am gonna, yeah, we're gonna pop in here. I want to show you guys. This is so weird. Look at this. You have to go through that to get into this creepy old cemetery. Smashed my ankle coming through that torture device. My foot like caught on that. Oof. Anyways, Point of Graves. I think this is so cool. These are very old. Some of the finest colonial era gravestones in northern New England. Portsmouth residents patronized Massachusetts gravestone carvers until the early 1800s. Among the artists whose work can be found here are the Bostonians William Mumford, a Quaker, Nathaniel Eames, John Homer, and the carver known only by his initials as J.N., possibly the silversmith John Noyes. Other carvers include brothers Caleb and Nathaniel Lawson, and possibly their father and mentor, Joseph of Charlestown, James Foster of Dorchester, and John Hearthstone and Joseph Mulliken of Haverhill.
There's a bunny rabbit in here.
There's a bunny in here? Oh, yeah.
You see it?
Really cool old cemetery, and you see there is a grave from 1693 belonging to one William Button. You got Alice Eyre, 1718, 1720, 1746, 1692, 1781, and they are really beautiful examples. So I wanted to bring you here. People miss. I don't know if everybody cares about cemeteries as much as I do.
Oh, this one's so cool. Bias Lear. Look, that's cool. Crossbones.
That is very cool. We see them like that in Scotland.
Yeah.
Remember?
Mm-hmm.
In Falkland. They had some really creepy ones, and they had little plot here belonging to the Lears. Well, they lived down the road in a beautiful yellow colonial known as the Tobias Lear House. And there is his final resting place. Oh, wow.
Wife of William. On.
Wow, that's interesting.
Daughter of the late Richard Carter. This life.
I always love how many of the graves from this time period say 1690. Wow, that's early. They say departed this life for the next. And I think that that's so beautiful. They understood something that we have a harder time with in 2025, and that is that there's a life beyond this. It was very real to them. A lot of these people had strong faiths, and they understood that this is just the beginning. And they believe that, you know, there was much beyond this. So they departed this life for the next. I think that's sage wisdom. You know, and I don't know what it is about scenes like this, but I love this. Aesthetically and for the history. And my family teases me that I'm a little bit goth. But I do love this. Now here is a newer one that they fixed because, oh yeah, see, replaced in 2004, but I'm glad that they redid it. They didn't redo it in the old style, but I understand, you know, it's expensive. How loved, how valued once, avails ye not, to whom related or by whom begot. A heap of dust alone remains of thee. 'Tis all thou art and all that we must be. The remains of Mr. Joseph Langdon, son of Captain Mark Langdon. And Langdon, a very big name around here, given that the governor, Langdon, lived right here in Portsmouth. Aesthetically, you know, you look at it and you can, like, they don't change much. And it's and I know how weird this sounds, but a living reminder of the past, even though, like, these people are dead, they're not living, but these are left behind as a reminder, and they're original. And they put them here. I mean, their families chose these and put them here. So it's a really good way to kind of start to get to know these folks. Even though it's their end, it can be the beginning of their story and the beginning of discovery. And ironically, I find so much hope and inspiration from these. Does that make sense to you guys? I really don't see it as like creepy or macabre. There's a reality in these, but it doesn't have to be bad. And to me, it's part of the complete story. Although, those are a little creepy. That's not my favorite style of headstone. I mean, they're cool in a way, but it was the style. And look at this one. That's pretty classic. So that is the entirety of the New Hampshire coast, and there is Maine over on the other side. The naval shipyard is big, employs a lot of people. Big part of the economy around these parts. That's been fought over too. There was a big decision deciding if that was going to belong to New Hampshire or Maine.
It's still being fought.
Yeah. The battle over that one wages on. I've got geese honking to my right. I'm that history chick, like Patrick Henry. I know of no way of judging the future but by the past. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the tour of the New Hampshire Seacoast from bottom to top, and a lot of fun random adventures in between. It's been a good day, and I really appreciate you guys watching. If you watched till the end, thanks so much. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Remember, I'm also on Instagram at @that_historychick, on Facebook at @thathistorychick, and right here with more exciting content. Thanks so much for watching, and take care. We will see you very soon. Bye.